I don't like to hold my tablet out when I talk. It just looks tacky to me. So I like to sit it down. Thank you all for being here for this and for inviting me out. I was asked to talk about the mental and emotional connection between black boys and their fathers. Something that we really need to deal with. But with everything that I do or speak on or write about, it's always going to be also solution oriented. It's great to have education, but what do we do with it? Once I understand a problem, once I understand an issue, once I get to the depths of the crux of something, then what do I do? And so as we go through this, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be flushing out what that connection is, what the connection looks like, different things that it entails, but also what we are going to be challenged to do as a community in supplementing the mental and emotional connection, because some fathers aren't in their sons' lives. So if we have a lot of young men who do not have their fathers, just because we understand the connection, what are we going to do to fix it or supplement it or give them something like what they're supposed to have? So that's what we're going to deal with today. So just as we look around, there is no doubt that sons have an emotional and a mental connection with their fathers. Now, to me, this connection is analogous with the umbilical cord of a woman and the child. Now, physically, the umbilical cord feeds the child, passes nutrients, it supplies oxygenated blood, and it gives the child everything it needs to exist, right? Now, imagine a baby in a womb with no umbilical cord. It's not getting fed, it's not getting the nutrients, the blood is pumping on its own, it's not oxygenated, and because of the condition that the baby is in, the baby is sentenced to death. Nothing about the baby is wrong. It's not the baby's fault. It's not its fault for the fact that it will die. The only problem is the condition that this baby is in. So I suppose to you all today that the seeming sentence of death that is on our young men is because of the lack of mental and emotional connections to their fathers. So we have so many men who are just sentenced to death. The world is taking them out in just tremendous numbers. I thank God for being alive today, because my father was killed when I was young. So my connection was severed that way, and I went down a long path of self-destruction, being shot in my chest, hitting top of my head, going to jail, all of these different things. And I had a sentence on me, but I was able to overcome that. That's what makes me so passionate about fixing these relationships. This is why I speak the way I speak and write the way I write, because every day to me I feel like is a gift, because I don't feel like I belong here. I feel like when I was 20 years old sitting in that car and them bullets came through, I wasn't supposed to make it. But since I did, I'm here for a purpose. So one of the first things when we just look at history, because we always got to look at history. We want to start with today and think we're going to fix some stuff and we'll get to the roots. One of the first things done during slavery was they prevented the African man from fathering. They didn't allow him to be a father of his children, or they would just have him as a breeder and just have him going around and having children, but they would not allow him to father. And this creates a perpetual state of confusion for the young African boy, because, and this is why it's so crazy, the only thing fatherly the slave boy would see is the master. This is a perpetual state of confusion. If we fast forward to 2017, we still have young African boys who only thing fatherly they see is the master system. So they're fed by the master's food stamps, and then they're educated by the master's school systems. And then their view of themselves, their culture, their people is shaped by the system's racist history books. And if they make any mistake, they're chastised by the criminal justice system. And this is what our young black boys are facing because of that lack of that connection. Because the lack of connection to their actual father, and from those of us who are supposed to be supplementing that fatherhood and giving them what it is that they need. Now, all of the connections that these young black boys were supposed to have with their father, sadly, is now controlled by their enemy. is controlled by those that hate them. And then we wonder why we begin to act certain ways. It's because I didn't have a connection with my father, so the only father figure I see is the master, and the master ain't no good example for me to be a man. And I end up treating my women the way master treats my women, and I end up treating my brothers the way master treats my brothers, and all of this can be solved simply by reconnecting that connection between the man and the son. So it's obvious we need to break this cycle. But in order to do so, we must understand the proper dynamic of father and son so we can supplement it for the fatherless. So it's imperative that we understand the proper relationships. So some of the things I say we might look at like, I don't know if that's true or if that's how it really works, just because our relationship's been so messed up that sometimes we don't know what the proper relationship is supposed to look like. So somebody brings you some truth and you've been used to a lie so long. I remember somebody said to me, it's easier to fool somebody than it is to convince them that they've been fooled.
Sure.
So once you've given into the lie, when somebody brings you truth, you're like, oh man, that's like growing up in a Caucasian school system. You learn all this stuff, and then you hear Dr. Francis Cress Wilson and Lily Philbin. You're like, I don't believe none of that stuff.
Right. That can't be true.
That's right.
They done conditioned your mind. You can't listen to Amos books. You can't listen to no black psychologists because you've been trained to listen to all of the Europeans your entire life. That's a whole nother lecture. That's a whole nother lecture. So, as we talk about this mental emotional connection, we must know that the father is supposed to be the foundation of who the son is. Me, I'm Mitchell Chance Jr. I grew up Little Mitch, even if I wasn't. My brother isn't a junior, but he still was Little Mitchell's son. And that's the first foundation of who you are, being connected to who your father is. Now, what does this really mean? It means that when a young African boy sees his father, he's supposed to see his starting points. And this is where we get messed up at. See, I'm supposed to be able to see my dad's bank account and know that's where my money starts for me to add on. I'm supposed to see my father's talents and know that, I'm supposed to start there. If he builds houses, then I need to build skyscrapers. I'm supposed to be able to see my father's character and know that's my starting point. That's my starting ground. I see who my father is. That's who I'm supposed to be, but then more. But we have had generations of men whose manhood started in the negative. So instead of me having that foundation of, I see my dad, I see who my dad is. So that's me, and I'm going to stand on his shoulders. And then the next generation will stand on my shoulders. That's an African principle to the fullest, right? Standing on the shoulders of your ancestors. But for some reason, we keep standing under their feet. Because the connection is not there. So if that fatherly connection is not there, now I have to grow up trying to figure out, where do I start?
Yes.
But when I have my father, I see where I start at. We got guys in competition with their fathers. In competition with the older generations. We should never, ever, ever be in competition with previous generations. I heard a guy at a conference when he was talking about this, and he was talking about how he would race his son. So he would race his son, beat his son. Race his son, beat his son. His son getting faster and faster and faster. Finally, his son beats him. He said, I never race my son again. Not because I didn't want my ego to be bruised, but because I was never in competition with him. So I'm not going to continually try to beat my son. But son, now you got it. So now, if we understand what this foundation is supposed to be, and we have these fatherless young men, it's our duty now to begin to show these young men where they're supposed to be starting from. Especially us men. It's our duty to be training the minds of young men, every young man that we are around, because if us positive men aren't training them, there's going to be a bunch of negative men that's going to train them. I had a conversation with some people before they got upset at me because they were talking about drug dealers and how much they hated the drug dealers, and the drug dealers was just the scum of the earth and all of these different things. I said, well, I'm going to be honest with you. In my experience, the drug dealers have more of a good heart than anybody I've ever been around. Now, the drug dealers got the streets clean, but when it came to me, you know what the drug dealers did? They sat down and taught me everything they knew. They gave me the product that they had. on the block in order to make some money for myself. And even though it was negative, their hearts to me was still right. But then I had to pose the question, well, where were all the positive men?
That's right.
How come the only people that poured into me were these negative guys that you hate so much? Now, while what they did was negative, the process of what they did is what we need to do. We can't have the drug dealers being the only men pouring into our youth. Then we want to point the fingers at them, but the only people we care about is our sons, maybe. The little boy down the street, that ain't none of my business. Until he climbing through your window, or until he killing your son. We have to be able to show them young men that foundation. We cannot have a mindset that it's not my child, so it doesn't matter. One day I was with a friend of mine and we were out speaking. He has this thing called the unprisoned cell. And so we were out there raising some money for some things that we were trying to do. And the guy says to me, or says to us, well, no, I'm not donating because my kids are good kids. They ain't going to jail. I said, sir, well, I hope none of the bad kids kill your kid. I know that sounds morbid, but it's the truth. See, I look at things like this. The child I saved could be the one that could have killed mine. Or could be the one that could have killed me. But if I take the time to show him who he is, show him where he starts from, and I begin to be the connection for him that his father was not, I can begin to break that perpetual cycle, but not just me, all of us. So that's the challenge that we're faced with of being that mental connection. So if we grasp this connection, we must then be that foundation for the young African boys. But not only is the father the foundation as it pertains to these external things, but through the mental connection, the father gives the son his self-identity. Now I know in this Western world, we love to say we're not a monolith. I'm an individual. And we're encouraging everybody to just be yourself. But nobody can become themselves without some kind of influence or some outside factors. So you can't become yourself by yourself. There's still somebody and some things that have to pour in you. So when a young boy sees his father, mentally he sees himself. And it's like, I am who he is. So whoever my father is shows me a glimpse of who I am. Again, just from a starting point, because not that you have to be your father, but this is just where I'm starting at, and then I'm taking everything to the next level. The Walmart brothers and sisters, their father started the business. The sons, one of them sons and daughters made it a multi-billion-dollar company. That's what we're lacking. That's what we're lacking. So it gives them a sense of self-identity. Some years ago, and this is years ago because I was eating McDonald's, because I don't eat McDonald's no more. But some years ago, my daughter, she was maybe 4 or 5 years old, and we had some McDonald's. And she had some fries, so she's in the back seat of the car. She says, Dad, can I have some of my fries? Or can I have, no, she just said, can I have my fries? I said, no, baby, you can't have your fries. I'm going to give you your fries when you get home because you know the kids make a mess in the back seat of your car. I don't want you making a mess. Okay. 5 minutes later, go by, Dad, can I have my fries? You know the kids don't stop until they get what they want. Right. Dad, can I have my fries? Dad, can I have my fries? I said, Anaya, did you pay for these fries? She says, no. I said, well, how are they your fries? She says, because you my dad. There was absolutely no disconnection in her mind between her and Dad. And whatever Dad was, whatever Dad had, she had. And that's that connection that the father has with the son when the relationship is proper. There's not supposed to be a separation. It's just supposed to be an elevation. It's not supposed to be tearing them apart. I'm just supposed to be growing out from you. That's all this is. That's what that mental connection does. When I see my father, when the relationship is done right and the dad is doing what he's supposed to do, when I see him, I see me, and then I can see myself even being better. Oh man, do not hold your sons down. Do not hold the young boys down around. I read a quote one time that said, be leery of mentors that don't want to see their mentees do better than them. Because sometimes we have an issue with letting somebody outdo us when that's supposed to be the whole point of this thing. That's right. We're supposed to do better. We're here in the UNIA, the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. Even he said it's going to be a Garvey that's greater than me that's going to come. I can't just be the end all be all. Booker T was great. Garvey came and took what Booker T was talking about to another level. That's what we're supposed to do. And that's what the connection is. So we have to be that connection for these young boys. What kind of self-identification are we giving them? So if they don't have fathers, how are we supplementing their self-identification? Are we continuing to let these racist history books, these TV shows, this entertainment system teach them who they are? Because that's what we're seeing.
Yes.
It's time for us. We have to show these young African boys, first of all, that they're African. A lot of us deal with so much self-hate. I ain't no African. You sure ain't American, because America sure ain't treating you right. If you was American, life would be a whole lot different for you, wouldn't it?
Right, yes.
So we have to show them who they truly are. Because the thing is, when you know who you truly are, you act different.
That's right.
All the stuff that we see out there, that's because these young guys don't know who they are. When you know who you truly are, you just let certain stuff go. You let certain behaviors go because it's beneath you. It's beneath you to act like a peasant if you're royalty.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
It's beneath you to be stealing to eat when you own the world. But when you don't know the world is yours, you're going to live your life like a peasant. So how are we supplementing that? That's what we have to wrestle with and what we have to do. We have to make sure, and this is not just your immediate family. Whatever block you're on, whatever young boy is on your block, that's your assignment. 2 block, 3 block radius, whatever. That's your assignment. We got to get back to this village. We done took on this Caucasian way of life where we just live on blocks next to somebody that we don't know. That is not how we have ever been.
Right.
We have always been family-oriented blocks. Kids grow up having no idea that that cousin that they call cousin ain't blood at all because everybody was just so tight.
Yes. Yes.
But now we don't even speak to neighbors no more. Nothing. We have lost everything. So for us, we gotta help these young men see who they truly are. When we show them who they truly are, they will begin to act in totally different ways. Now, the mental connection is also fostered by the standards and expectation a father places on the son. Psychology 101. The human mind cannot grow if it does not have a goal. That's why we see folks stay in the same places because they ain't got no goal. How you expect somebody to grow mentally, emotionally, or even financially if they ain't got no goal? They don't want nothing out of life. That's why we see people stay in the same spots. But when a father sets these expectations and these standards, it forces his son's mental capacity to grow in order for him to become what it is his father said he was going to be. But when we allow our young men to grow up living life with no standards and no expectations, we're going to get what we got today. We got communities where there's no code. Nowadays you can just do anything and it's okay. We letting these folk really tell us that everything is okay. You can't judge nobody. You can't shame nobody. You can't speak against nothing. That's their reality, so let it be. We can't operate like that. They want us to operate like that because they know without a code that we'll continue to self-destruct. And that's what they want. So we got so many young boys out here who are self-destructing because they don't have any goals. Now, what standard do we have for them? What expectations do we have for them? I did a video some time ago because my daughter, she plays the African drums. And I found out that they were taking her out of her math class to go practice the drums. So, okay, all right, I'm cool, all right. But then when she got her report card, she had a C. So you can't play these drums no more. She's like, well, what I gotta do to play the drums? I said, you got to bring me A's. You got to bring me all A's before you can just leave out class to go play with some drums. My mom gonna see this, but I'll keep telling the story until she get mad at it. So my mom was like, you can't put that kind of pressure on her. You can't tell her she gotta bring all A's home. And it instantly took me back to middle school, when I thought that Asians was just smarter than me. Yeah, the Asians, they was getting all A's. I thought they got big heads, so they got big brains, and I'm just dumber than them. But what I come to find out was their parents had different standards. Their parents had different expectations. And since their parents was telling them, you bring home straight A's, their mental capacity grew to become what it is that they told them to be. But it was okay if I got C's. See, the expectation is where people will stay. Some people might exceed expectations, but the overwhelming majority, whatever you expect, that's just what I'm going to do. If all I got to do is get C's to pass, then that's what I'm going to do. Now, not to brag or boast, but I feel as if I'm a brilliant individual. But in school, I didn't display it because all I wanted to do was pass. I didn't give any effort to attempt to get straight A's. It was never on my mind to even try. I'm going to go ahead and do what I can. I can miss this many amount of days. I can be late this many amount of times, and I'm still going to graduate. Because all I was expected of me, just graduate. Don't graduate with honors, just graduate. So now the challenge to us is we got to begin to raise standards and expectations of our young black men. Many of us just expect these young black men to just die. And then we wonder why they just die. What kind of energy are we projecting on them if we just thinking all you're going to do is die or go to jail? We wonder why I keep happening over and over again. All they're going to do is die or go to jail. Well, who's going to break the cycle? Who's going to speak something different? Who's going to speak something positive? Who's going to speak something encouraging? Who's going to show them the real capacity that they have? I wrote a blog one time titled, "You can make it in the streets, you can make it anywhere." And as a past drug dealer, and then I went to school for finance, I broke down the competitive advantage I had in finance school because of my drug dealing history. So I was showing the young guys that, listen to the advantages that you have because I've been through it and I did it. And if you can make it in these streets where you might die or go to jail, and because they're using their mental capacity to sell drugs, if you can make it in that, let me show you how to channel that in another direction. And once they channel it in another direction, as I have, you begin to excel. So now the furthest thing from my mind ever is selling the streets. I'm an entrepreneur now. Well, I was always an entrepreneur. I just had the wrong product.
Pharmacist.
Yeah, you know, I just had the wrong product. But when you show them that we have different standards of this, we're not going to accept these certain things in our neighborhood no more. I'm not going to accept this from you no more. I began to talk to one of my little cousins about not calling himself nigger. And so it got drilled in his mind. And I totally forgot about it because I'm always just talking to the young guys, and then I just leave. So one day I'm sitting on the step and all I hear is my little cousin. "If you call me nigger one more time, I'm gonna punch you." Now I don't want them fighting each other, but he no longer allowed that to be called, him to be called that anymore. Even though previously he was cool with it. Nigga, 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 nigga. It's a song, like that's the chorus. Nigga, 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 nigga. But after I raised the standard, he was now willing to fight for his new identity. He's willing to fight for his new identity. I always ask people this: if these guys are willing to give their life for their street corner, imagine what they will do for their people if you just change their thinking. So I would have died for my block. I would have went to jail for my block. So I would die for my people. I would go to jail for my people. I'm still the same me. I just shifted my energy to something that's more positive. But what will happen if we change the direction of their energy? That happens with raising our standards and our expectations for them. So the young boys that are around you, it's time for us to raise the standards, raise the expectations, stop allowing them to just say, what you want to be, a basketball player or a football player. Shut that down. Shut it down. Yes, the possibility that you can make millions, but that possibility is very small. Why is that the only thing our youth think they can be? Now, this middle connection between the father, how much time do I have? I'll get long-winded. The middle connection between the father and the son, when right, is so telepathic that it only takes a look. You just give your son a look, and just with a look, a story is told, and that story is heard. But this only happens when the two are on the same mental frequency. See, if I ain't in your life, you're not going to understand what my look means. You're not going to understand when I cut my eye a certain way that means I want you to do a certain thing. Sometimes I can just look at my daughter a certain way and she'll know to get up and go do something because we're on that same mental frequency. I know some of you, if you had some good parents and good people in your life, you've experienced that. That's because you're on the same frequency. Now, are we on the same frequency with the young men? We're on totally different frequencies with them, and we wonder why they don't listen to us. How are they going to listen to somebody who's not on the same frequency as them? And that only happens from relationship. It only happens from relationship. Spending time with somebody. Listening. Not always talking, but listening to them. Understand their whys. As a counselor, I always tell I don't call my patients, but the people that I talk to, the whys are more important than the whats. What you do don't mean nothing. See, we say murder might be the worst thing in the world. But if you kill somebody and I ask, well, why? Well, the person was trying to kill me, or the person was raping my son or my daughter, and I killed them. That changes the whole complexion of murder, right? So the whys are more important than the whats. We got to get on the same frequency, or get them on the same frequency that we are. But that only happens from relationship. But what we have developed is a us and them kind of mindset. So it's us almost against those that's living foul. Like you ain't never lived foul, but I know y'all all saints. I know y'all all saints. I'm the only one that ever did something wrong. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. I know I'm in the perfect haven right here. We can't have that kind of us versus them mentality. That's us and that's us. That us that's a little sicker than we are right now, because we all still sick. We still got to get our minds retrained from all this indoctrination that we've received. But they are they are us. So we have to have built relationships with them, talk with them, see why are they the way they are. See, I was so entrenched in it that it makes me look at everything different because I know my why. I know what led me. And see, once you go down the wrong path, that's just it. You're trying to figure out why they're doing all this extra stuff. No, all you need to find out is why they chose the left. Once you find out why they chose the left, you can correct everything else. Because I know what led me. Now, once I start going that direction, that was it. My mind, when I think about the way I used to think, woo, it's crazy. But it's all because of the direction I was on. I just got further and further and further away from who I truly was. But then I was able to find myself. I was able to find my way back. And that's why I'm so passionate and dedicated to helping other people find their ways. Because when somebody tells me, oh, they lost, ain't nothing you can do for them. I said, they said the same thing about me. And since I was lost, that means I know how to find a lost person and get a lost person to come back on the way that they should be on. All right, so now, emotions. Real quick, I'm going to just go through this because I don't have a whole lot of time. I think the emotional relationship between men in general is overlooked and underutilized, especially when we think about love. Now, though men may not articulate it, there is something in us that is always longing for a masculine love. The world has made love seem like it's only for women. I don't know how we succumb to that. And so we don't want to say or act like we're looking for love from other men when we are. You want to know why guys are joining gangs? It's because they're looking for some love from some other men. They're trying to find some masculine love somewhere. Tupac said it best. He said, I rode around with the thugs, and even though they sold drugs, they showed a young brother love. So you trying to figure out why I'm part of thug life? You trying to figure out why I'm part of this game? Because I wasn't getting no masculine love nowhere else. So emotionally, I'm deprived because either my father's not there or my father does not know how to show his emotions. None of the other men in my life want to show no kind of masculine love. So now, but I need it, so I'm going to find it somewhere. And so now I'm finding it from a bunch of other young guys who have no guidance. Now we love each other. We're going to ride or die for each other. We're going to kill for each other. We're going to do all of these negative things because nobody showed me the masculine love that I needed and guided it right. When I did find that masculine love, it was at the hands of somebody who was leading me the wrong way. So now, men, are we going to begin to show our young brothers some masculine love? We can't be afraid to tell each other we love each other. I remember years ago I was at Fridays And as I was leaving out, my cousin was there, and I was like, love you, man. He's like, I love you too. This girl turned around and looked like with the craziest look in the world, you know? Like two men just told each other they love each other. You know, she has no idea how many cousins we lost to the streets. And because of that, we talked about this and said, listen, I ain't going to be talking about how much I love you after you're dead. So I'm going to tell you I love you while you're here. You know, she don't know the history. But the real question is, why does it make her feel uncomfortable? Or anybody to feel uncomfortable because a man can tell another man he loves him?
She ain't right either.
if you comfortable in being your man, you a tough man, then what you scared of? I love you, brother. I love you, brother. I love you, brother. I love all you brothers here. Sammy, you're the only one. God, ain't nobody else love me in this joint.
First of all, I'm afraid to speak to you.
You're afraid to speak to me?
No, I'm not you, but most black men you can't speak to.
Ooh, okay.
I can't. You can't. What?
See, you can, but that's not even true. But we accept it as true. Now you can say that most black men you can't.
Most.
There's no evidence of that whatsoever.
With me
far as how he's saying it, yeah, because there's a lot of guys I done spoke to and like, hey, why you speaking to me? And I leave that where it's at. I leave and come back with a brother. I come back with their proof. What's up, nigga? I come back like, what's up, nigga?
Yeah. And then Philly is just a bad place for that.
Down like, yo,
when you get
I'm talking about Broad Dairy.
Well, that's something that we got. So now we see a problem. Are we gonna change it? Actually, I did a little short video on that. You know, with two guys coming down the street. I'm like, you know, how you feel about? They both got hoodies on. I'm like, you know, what do you do when you come and close to this person? I don't know if y'all see the video. You speak. You know, we gotta begin to speak to each other.
That's right.
You know, we have this fear of each other. I think because you got a hoodie on that you gonna harm me, but I know I got my hoodie on because I'm cold.
Oh, it's raining.
But for some reason, I don't think you get cold. Don't no other black man get cold or wet but me. Okay. Any other black man with a hoodie on got a gun. I don't understand. This is how we've been trained to look at each other. Oh man, I gotta watch him. Now this sounds really crazy, but this is what I decided to do. I don't care where I'm at. I'll be on any street. I'll be walking. When I walk past any group of guys, guy with a hoodie on or whatever, I forcibly stopped myself from turning around and checking to see what they was doing. If they're gonna do something, they're gonna do something. But I'm not gonna walk around with that fear of my people. Right. That's just what I'm doing. People like to say I'm crazy for doing it, but I can't. You're not gonna make me continue to believe when my experience, I'm 35 years old. I walked the streets of Philly my entire life. Not one time ever in my entire life has a random black man just punched me in the face while I was walking down the street. It's never happened. In 35 years, I've been walking up in every section of this city. I've been in every section of Philadelphia. I have never, ever had a random black man just violate me for no reason. Now, I got shot, but I knew they wanted to shoot me. That's another story. That wasn't random. That was intentional. But random, so if my experience tells me it never will happen, what's training my mind to make me think every time I see a black man, he's going to harm me? When my experience says I have a 0% chance.
Okay. Books, videos.
That's a whole nother lecture too. Let's just get through this and then we can talk about whatever else. Now, when a relationship is right, the one person a man can be a total emotional wreck with is his father. When you have to be tough man to the world, there is still safety with your father or your father figure. It's just something about having a father or a father figure that you can open up and pour out to like you wouldn't with anybody else. I think about that scene in The Fresh Prince when he totally breaks down, you know, with Uncle Phil, and it wasn't acting. He really like started thinking about his own life and how his father left him. And Phil was like his real father figure. Okay. And he just broke down on set, grabbed him, hugged him, and cried. Because when you have that figure in your life, you can let those emotions out. You can break down because you know that's the one person who's going to heal you. Can we create safe environments for our men to let go? I done dealt with some severe depression. I didn't feel like I ain't had nobody to talk to. Can we create some safe spaces? Can we make it not taboo? Can we stop trying to make it seem like men don't have any kind of emotions? They don't have any kind of feelings, that men don't cry. Can we get rid of all of those stereotypes that are on men and open it up? So listen, if you are going through something, you can express how you feel. You can tell me something hurt. You can tell me I hurt your feelings. We can't say that, right? You can't say something hurt my feelings. That ain't manly. But every man know your feelings get hurt. You know your feelings got hurt, but then you look at another man who's expressing like he's soft. No, you hurting.
Okay.
He's going to get healed because he's expressing what's going on. So as a community, we have to create that safe space, because just psychologically and physiologically, when you hold in stuff, that messes with your psyche and it messes with your body.
Yeah.
When you don't release stuff, when you don't cry. Talk about this in one of my books. The body produces 3 types of tears. The body produces emotional tears. The body produces tears for your pain, and the body produces protective tears. Like if something goes in your eye, it rushes it out. But with your emotional tears, what your body is doing is balancing the chemicals within your body. So, you know, bipolar or schizophrenia, all of those things are chemical imbalances in your body. When you cry, it's your body's natural way of balancing itself out so you don't go crazy. Now, women understand how good they feel after they done had a good cry. But us, we want to hold it in and be so tight, and then you wonder why you on edge and you done snapped out because somebody drank the last of the Kool-Aid. That's because you ain't cried for 20 years. Get a cry out. Let your body balance itself out. You don't have tear ducts for no reason. The Creator knew what He was doing when He created you. But we got a whole part of our body that we act like we can't use because the world done told us we can't. So we got to create these safe spaces. When the young men don't have their father that they can break down to, can they trust you? Can they trust you to break down to them and you not talk about them and tell somebody how they cried or how they broke down? Because without that safe space, people are going to continue to be tense, and they're going to continue to hold in everything that's hurting them when they need to be healed. We all need to be healed. Now, lastly, we're going to be done. Emotionally, there's a deep connection in just knowing you have a father. My father was a kid, I was 10 years old. Ever since then, it has been a struggle some days to just not have. To just not have him, to just have a conversation with. To not be able to just say, I'm going to call my dad, I'm going to just run this by him and see if this sounds good, to see if this makes sense, or I'm going to talk to him about this girl I'm dealing with. You think she right or wrong? Because I don't know. I ain't thinking right now, you know, to just not have that person. So that emotion is so deep to know that you just have that person that's just there. When I need you for something, I just have you there. That connection right there is just so deep to know that you got somebody. Now, we might not be all these young men's father, but can they have a connection with you emotionally to just know you're there? To just know if I need to talk, if I need some help, if I just need to vent, if I need some advice, whatever it is, I need to know I have somebody. We got so many young men and women too. I know we're dealing with men today, but men and women both that don't feel like they have anybody in this world to turn to. And so they self-medicate. They have negative behaviors. They end up in prison, or worse, they end up killing themselves. We have an epidemic of young people nowadays killing themselves, 10, 11, 12 years old, where they feel like they have no place to turn. But are you the place to turn for a young man? That emotional connection right there of having a father and knowing he's always there, there's nothing that can break that. But when it's not there, what is that young man supposed to do when I feel like I'm in this big old world and nobody got my back? Are we going to be the village? Are we going to recreate the village? Well, they say it takes a village to raise a child, but it takes a village to even be a village. that's our goal. We have to begin to recreate that village. We have to love one another enough to know, I'm not okay, brother, if you not. I can't be satisfied that I'm good if you not good. Because I don't know, you might come through my window. No, but I mean, that's what happens if you only focus, if you get, individual and you worry about what you got, that's going to cause some kind of jealousy because nobody's thinking about the next person. But we have to think about each other. So that's my presentation. If you want to have some dialogue or some questions or whatever, thank you.
Can I say something real fast?
You can say whatever you want, brother.